Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday, the 10th of July. So, where are we with the euro? It managed to push up higher again yesterday, eventually ending up a bit of a shooting star here. Now, I mentioned yesterday there is a weekly pivot below, so there is that potential for it to work its way down here. There was, on the shorter time frame, some divergence as it went through making these highs yesterday. It sold off fairly soundly in the afternoon session there and ran through on a sell-off, which whereas the pound held up and bounced back, the euro it had a shallow bounce back to its daily pivot. At the moment, it's double bottomed on this hourly picture here, and it's a case of really can it pitch back through these moving averages and start shoving up and get beyond its Asian session high. If it can, then we're really back on towards the R1 potentially. What's certainly not so clear now as was there, because it's effectively broken a trend on this time frame. Let me just, I'm on a 30-minute chart here. Just switch this to a 60. There we go. The trend line up there. It's effectively stepped out of that through the Asian session. That trend line that was drawn, and in fact, it's just pitch it up a bit more, so it's broken that. However, it's trying to get back within. It may be that we have to adjust this, but certainly it's pitched in there just about almost nearly giving us a lower high, so not quite done it, but we'd been pushing up or higher lows, higher highs up until that point. So this is a pivotal time period in the market. It's having a decent push up at the moment, as I said. If it can hold on to these gains and push through, well, I'd look for a more bullish sort of side this morning. If it starts turning around post 8 o'clock, and I would give it some time to see what it's going to do, I'll look on the shorter side and try and play back towards that weekly pivot. News-wise today, there's nothing involving the euro as such until 10 o'clock. We've got the German economic sentiment, which is not a major mover for it, but all the same, we could see some movement there. So the pound yesterday made it up until its daily 50, and that was pretty much a point where I should imagine there would be quite a bit of money coming in to sell. Technically, it was a trading point, but of course, then we had another resignation, and the market sold. So it didn't take too much notice of David Davis resigning, but with Boris Johnson resigning as well, we saw quite a move down, and that did go pretty tightly, and there was a similar move down in the euro at the same time. The markets were changing a little bit there, so got a question whether it's just some dollar strength coming through these markets, but it's probably a combination of both. But for now, it's still on this time frame possibly looks okay. It has broken its trend line, to be fair though, and we'll see how this chips out this morning. It is just short of its daily pivot at the moment. If it can tick that box off, then we'll see how it moves from there onwards. Could well chop, but we have got, as I say, GDP coming out 9:30 this morning. Now this is the beginning of the GDP being released even on a monthly basis. So we'll see the figures just coming out on a monthly basis, much as we do with the Canadian data. Now, this in itself may lead to some volatility today. We'll see, because it will be the first time it's done. But we've got no previous history on it, so it does create a bit of volatility with the Canadian dollar when it comes up. So, but not a lot. It's not a major move because it's a slower progress. But all the same, with the pound in the current circumstances, we may see a bit more volatility come 9:30. But we also got the manufacturing production numbers coming out, which are key. So it may even just get messed up with all that. So the trouble is, you've got a load of noise now coming out at 9:30. So we need to watch that carefully. Dollar yen. Dollar yen started back on a solid route yesterday in the end, pitching up again. At one stage it looked weak, it then gave way. It's looking like it might eventually now get towards that monthly R1 that I spoke about earlier in the week, or yesterday even, it'd be early in the week. It did manage to break this trend line eventually. That's on the 12 o'clock. So there you go. 12 o'clock candle did that, broke that, and it has pushed up solid since then. So it got out of that level of moving averages that was sitting there for now on the so looking like it's still got some potential more upside, a bit of a retracement at the moment, but we're seeing this across the markets with the pound and the euro rallying, so we should see this coming off a little bit. Maybe if it was to foul completely, we would have got a daily pivot below, which may be a target, but most likely we just watch for the 21s there. Okay, Aussie dollar. So the Aussie dollar stalling would appear into that 34 moving average. It looked like I was watching for this yesterday a little bit, stalling there. Its sentiment on it is pretty weak overall. There is a bit of a divergence there this morning. We could see a continuation of this to the downside. What with the moving average and everything else, there's a bit of a correlation there. We'll just see how it with the reaction post 8 o'clock maybe, and see what happens here. But as I say, there was there's a double top sitting in there as well, much weaker on this next last move. Let's have just a quick look across there. Yep, certainly diverging between those two highs there. Clear divergence there. So we'll see how that rolls. But there is the potential maybe for a bit more correction on that. And the Canadian dollar, let's just have a look back at this. Canadian dollar pitched up a little bit yesterday. Maybe that 34 is going to hold it. It's a tight one, but again, as I said in the weekly update, we've got to just see if this is a genuine bit of dollar strength coming through, or whether the dollar's still going to be sitting there struggling, but we'll see over the next day or two. But for now, it looks like there's a bit of dollar strength coming through. Next point we're seeing, I'm just looking the 4 hourly, we're into this 34 at the moment. First test, it needs to start pushing on through towards that 50. We did see oil come off a little bit yesterday at one stage, but again you see these moves through the market in the afternoon, pretty similar across the board. Of dollar strength, we'll see how it see the reaction this morning to see if it can push back and continue moving towards that 6200 or 4 hourly 50. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. As I said, the main news there is the GDP and the manufacturing data for the UK, and then the German economic sentiment at 10 o'clock. Have a great one. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.